I've stood behind locked plant gates in city after city, looking at grass growing in parking lots where they used to make steel, where they used to make cars, where they used to make washing machines, where they used to make bicycles. And now the plant gates are locked, and there's grass growing in the parking lots. And the neighborhoods around them are deteriorating. And people lost their jobs, and then they lost their homes. They lost their health insurance. They lost their pensions, or at least a big part of it. And there's grass growing in the parking lots. It's time that we had a president of the United States who had the willingness to challenge these trade systems and say what I'm about to say, and that is that my first act in office as president of the United States will be to cancel NAFTA and get out of the
Guess I got all mixed up. I guess I played it wrong.
In the spring, when I started to grow up, I used to come into this park. I felt the way I do now. Just floating with happiness.
Look, what I said to you that night when I gave you the bracelet on.
Don't talk about it anymore, Nicky. Don't talk about anything.
I was born and raised in the city of Detroit, in Herman Kiefer Hospital, the same hospital my mother was born in. I've enjoyed my life here in Detroit, enjoyed it immensely. It was great there. It was absolutely great. There was industry. And there was a lot going on downtown, a lot of money being made. We have the Fords, we have the Firestones here in Detroit, we have the Dodges. That's what actually happened until they started to change things around.
Why don't you play it wrong?
Maybe you can if you're not lonely. I believe in you, Nicky. If I helped you, would you try?
In the 60s and 70s, we had problems, we had strikes. We had civil rights issues, we had one of the largest riots. It was going on in the 60s and plus the craziness of drugs that came here. That's what's happened to Detroit. You can't really say that it's one thing or the other. It's the compactness of all those things. I know a lot of people left the city to go to Texas and Oklahoma during the 70s for oil, and people started moving to California in the 80s.
First time I was here when I was 16, it was like a rite of passage. You come to the train station with your friends, and it's a dangerous experience, and you sneak in with everybody, and, you know, it's part of the Detroit experience. You gotta sneak into the train station, otherwise you're not a man or whatever, so. And then since then, I've been inside of this place, I don't even know how many times. Really, I've seen every room and every floor, but the one thing I never saw was this place as a functioning train station. I never saw it with people inside. I never saw it with trains pulling up behind it, or ticket sales going on, or food being cooked at the restaurants, and people coming in and out and getting their shoes shined and their hair cut, and meeting family and friends on the concourse, and baggage claim people and taxis and everything. I never saw that. I never saw that. Easttown Theater saw some bad times as early as the 60s. You can see around us right now we're on the main stage. They took the seats out on the bottom floor when they turned it into a rock venue, but the balcony seats have always remained intact. It's a B movie.
Let go. Move your hand. I gotta. Hold on. You got another section. Make sure you get both lights. Make sure you get the flag.
I can't see the flag.
I can't hold this down long. So you do what you can. Did you get the whole section of the stadium?
I got one section on the other side. Let's go.
Did you get both lights? Well, set the lights. I'm Ross, and this is Risa. No, this is Risa, and I'm Ross. I do Donald Duck. Tiger Stadium, what's left of it, at one time was a beauty. I was here at the 1971 All-Star game with my dad. It's sad to see it go.
It's a strange situation to encounter these buildings and go into them and to see what's left behind. There's people's personal items and belongings, and like the whole city was evacuated. apocalyptic nature of a lot of these ruins is what sort of immediately attracts, especially young people, to the ruins, because there's this kind of fascination with the apocalypse, you know, with what does the apocalypse look like? What would it look like if there was no humans left on Earth? What would it look like if all the industry just vanished? And if you want an example of it, you can come here and really see it, you know. For me, it's like going for a walk in the forest or in the woods or something. It's very calm and quiet, and you know, you can kind of forget about the worries of the world and work and everything. As you can see, there's a pile of burned books here, but rather unusually, they're all the same book. And most of them are pretty well burned, but over here, there's a few boxes that are still unopened. And the book is called The Voice. Some kind of religious book. But actually, I've been here 5 or 6 times now, and I still haven't bothered to read the book. The Voice, Chapter 1. Detroit resembled Berlin after being leveled by the Allies near the conclusion of World War II. All the city blocks that had been destroyed in the riots of the 60s still lay desolate in the noonday sun. Only the rats scurried to and fro, undisturbed, except by the ever-increasing population of alley cats, cats every bit as cunning as the most feared man-eating tigers that still ravaged the small villages of India. Automobiles, stripped bare of chrome, windows, doors, seats, radios, stood up on concrete blocks looking like Death Valley skeletons, eaten clean as the carrion of the decaying post-industrial infrastructure. America's thriving automobile industry had built the city, and the desertion of the industry to greener pastures had left its former hub in the gutter, with many of the children of the first auto workers left behind. Those who could have moved out, others strapped without transportation, education, or direction had stayed. Most lived in hopelessness.
Today, throughout America, are monuments unlike any ever erected in history. They were built by American industry and symbolize the union between business and science, on which is founded the productive power of modern American industrial civilization. Since civilization's beginning, the great monuments of the ages have been built on the knowledge of the men of science. was American industry of its mighty machines of production. Better business, a better way of living for the American people. Time marches on.
Little Caesar's new deep dish pizza. A large $7 pepperoni pizza. Huge crunchy slices. All day, every day.
It's said that there's a difference between a good story and a great story. That a good story is instructive, and a great story is one in which you find yourself. Henry Ford didn't so much want to make cars as he wanted to transform life. So these men had a vision, and part of that vision was a selfish vision. It was how that they could get wealthy. And part of it was an innovation vision. They had an idea of new machines, new models of industry, new models of commerce. The Charlie Chaplin Modern Times, where the difference between the man and the machine was difficult to determine. That's the old myth of Detroit. A city built on the fact that everyone was a piece of a larger collective entity, and that prosperity and security came from this larger collective entity. That's the old myth.
When a house or a factory is abandoned to human use, the weeds start to grow up. And then the insects that were there at low levels start to have more habitat. And as soon as they start to pioneer it, they open the door for the other things coming. Falcons nesting on buildings where they have the updrafts they like to fly on and where their eggs are safe. So they're kind of tailor-made for trying to reestablish in a city where our buildings are artificial cliffs. So I can tell you that when I was younger, those birds were not around. Animal control. Animal control. See, house being used to store trash, dogs go out the windows. There are people who have been using the house. Don't get cut in this house. Come on.
Good girl, come on. Good girl. Good girl, come on. Come on. Come on. Good girl, good girl. That's a good girl, come on. Good girl, good girl, good girl. Good girl, good girl. All right, all right.
This blue pit bull color type that's very popular. And he is a pretty aggressive dog. He is not kidding. He is... That dog will kill you. If they have a dog that loses in a fight, sometimes they kill it, sometimes they set him on fire. That's not uncommon. Other times they just dump it. I mean, that guy is a stray dog machine. He's pumping stray dogs out. People get killed by these street-bred ones that they dump. In this city, if a family wants a dog, even not to fight, even not to guard, they just want a dog to play with in the backyard, it's going to be a pit bull. That's their only choice. That is what they're going to get. That's the dog who attacked the child. And there are a few things that are status symbols, whether it's a car or selling drugs, but one of the things all these young men will always have is a big pit bull, because it is part of the kit, if you will, of the culture. Not pit bulls. People are dumping more of them every day. So actually, we have an increasing population of stray dogs. As I start to compile more statistics, I think actually from our capture, it probably is around 100,000 dogs.
15713 Chatham, and 3 dogs tied in the rear of that location. They could not answer whether or not this was already vacant.
Studied snakes in the wild in Peru. But now I do this.
Fire this morning at 15713 Chatham.
Give us that, get in the back.
I feel very at home in woods, even woods that I've never been in my life. I feel very at home in the jungle at night. I like it. Some people don't. So I feel at home. I'm not uneasy. I'm uneasy around people. In the woods, I'm not uneasy. I'm anxious around people. I'm not anxious. I was lucky enough to be close to a jaguar at night. The parts of nature, I hate that word, that still can hurt us, those are the really beautiful parts. Because those are the ones that give us hope, because we haven't killed them all. we haven't killed everything that can hurt us. That's cool. I really hope we never get to the point where we've killed off everything that can kill us.
Okay, let's get in place. Hey, Brian, we're going to get over McKenzie. You take up Vinewood.
No one says, I'm from Paris, we once had the Black Plague, or I'm from Dresden, our city was firebombed, or I'm from Stalingrad, tens of thousands of people died here. Nobody celebrates that past. But that's exactly what we do here. You know, every year before Halloween, we had a thing in Detroit called Devil's Night. They would burn the abandoned houses down. Every year that the crime statistics come out, when we're not voted the most dangerous place to live, or the murder capital, or some other horrible, other horrible thing, people here are sad. We slip to number 2. We slip to number 3. We're no longer the most dangerous place on earth. What's wrong with us? And the question, and you hear this discussion, because you hear this celebration of violence here, which is, underpins everything. It underpins the music. It underpins the culture here. This obsession with violence and somehow surviving violence, and challenge and somehow surviving challenge. Now, the argument's made often that the reason that that's true is because it's the only thing people can be proud of here, that all of the other things have been taken away from them. So the only thing they're left with are these negative things to be proud of. That's the new myth. A kind of a dark world, a kind of a shadow place, a kind of a world where things happen at night, where fires are set. That's something out of Mad Max.
It's this kind of weird, thing about Detroit is that on the freeways you might encounter more people than you'd ever see walking around the neighborhoods or in downtown, and certainly a more diverse array of people. And a lot of the people taking the freeway, especially I-75, are coming from the suburbs, coming downtown to work at the Renaissance Center, or one of the many office buildings downtown. And I think in a way it's unfortunate because it kind of precipitates the perception of Detroit as an empty, decaying city, because all along the way they see abandoned homes and abandoned schools And they go home at night and watch the TV about crime in Detroit and fires in Detroit, and it really just precipitating this notion of Detroit as an abandoned place. The freeway becomes a kind of a spiritual place in that sense. It's just this world that exists unto itself. And going south on I-75, St. Josephat Church and its three towers line up just absolutely precisely, perfectly with the three towers of the Renaissance Center. And it's a reminder of the sort of battle of opposing forces in Detroit. On the one side, the industry, the corporate culture, and the idea that big steel and glass skyscrapers will fix everything, and this kind of poor, struggling church in the neighborhood. So therefore, the freeways are this kind of spiritual way. This is the sound of existence in Detroit. A constant dirge in the background of the cars swimming on the freeway, and the constant
In front of the Renaissance Center. The Renaissance Center was built in 1977, and when it was completed, it was the largest privately financed project in the history of the United States. Over $350 million of private funds were used to build the 73-story main tower with 4 40-story towers surrounding it. Henry Ford II was trying to bring a renaissance back to the city of Detroit, but it really didn't work as well as he planned. Instead of bringing lots of companies back to the city, he ended up pulling companies from other buildings in the city of Detroit and leaving them abandoned.
We're also reducing petroleum consumption with vehicles that can run on alternative fuels.
Also, it was criticized for being very fortress-like in that it did not really integrate itself into the downtown area. It was more like a city unto itself, including what is now GM World Headquarters, a 1,500-room Marriott hotel, over 70 different restaurants and shops, a movie theater, a post office, its own YMCA workout facility, and it even has its very own zip code.
Another energy-saving solution is active fuel management, allowing the engine to run on half of its cylinders when full power isn't needed. Versatile 6-speed automatic transmissions are offered on over 2 million vehicles in 2009.
There was no front entrance to the Renaissance Center. There were large heating and cooling berms, which added to the fortress-like look of it, and really kept out people from around the city. And people would just drive in, go to work, and drive back out, and never have to interact or even feel like they were in the city of Detroit. The Renaissance Center is one of the main stops on Detroit's People Mover, which is what we call our elevated rail system. It is a very small elevated rail system that only encompasses 3.1 miles around the downtown central business district. It has 13 stops and was created in 1987 with hopes of going farther, but that were never realized.
special news alert to all Americans struggling with credit card debt. The credit card companies are now accepting reduced settlements for consumers facing hardship to reduce debts and lower payments by up to 60%. This is a government-approved and attorney-backed program brought to you by American Debt Associates.
Attention, Hydrolyze is currently seeking participants with dark circles and puffy eyes.
We'll have a loss of communities where we're going to be closing plants. People will be losing their jobs. It is the day.
Looks like it's working okay.
I fix things. Whatever the call comes. I mean, I'll get a call from somebody who says, hey, our toilet's stopped up. Or I'll get a call from a church, the organ isn't working. And, you know, I go out there and I fix it.
Okay, let's see here. Ah, it works. A bunch of different little flashing sequences here. Little chip in there that makes it do all that. Another little blinking robot. And it looks like it works okay. Yeah.
Kind of live by my own resources, so an environment like that is really something I can adapt to more readily, say, than, you know, working in the corporate world or something, which I did do for a time. I worked for a major industrial electronics company and had my good taste of the corporate world and walked away from it and just preferring to fend for myself. My reason for being interested in that type of technology is more of a creative thing, like problem solving and puzzles, but then in the corporate world it just becomes more like, okay, who's going to get ahead and who's going to get the raise and who's going to get the promotion, and, you know, that competition that happens within the ranks with people that you really would be working with. You end up kind of working against each other, each trying to get the advantage over the other. And just the fact that once a company reaches a certain size, it seems like the people who run it don't even see the people who work for them day to day, so they kind of forget about the human side of things when they decide to change things about the way the production area works, or maybe take away some of the medical benefits, or have people work longer hours. They don't feel this. They just say, oh, well, we just need to make them work 10% longer hours. It's like turning up the dial on a machine. A little hard to say, but I think it's drained down to about a quarter of the way now. Oh yeah, noticeably lighter. I was laid off because the company fell on hard times, working with the auto company even back then. It was kind of funny because I guess they expected me to be really angry about being laid off from the company after being there that long, and I laughed when they told me about it and said, oh, okay, I'm going to get to collect unemployment, have a 6-month paid vacation, and go find something better to do with my life. This sounds great. Where do I sign up? You know, and, you know, a lot of people were sorry to see me go because I was the guy who made the stuff work. And little by little, got involved in just kind of doing handyman repairs, you know, fixing stuff around houses. And, you know, it's, I don't know, I guess it's a good skill to have. It's good to have those kind of skills, and that's, especially for surviving.
So what is our promise? Our promise is to deliver what we need to do in our plan, to deliver a business that can create value so that those sacrifices are worth it, so that people have sacrificed for something that means something.
General Motors, the Detroit stalwart, once the world's largest corporation, died today. It was 100 years old. The company, founded on September 16, 1908 by William C. Durant, by the 1920s, GM creates a brand lineup: Buick, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, and Cadillac, aimed at different groups of buyers. But at the end of the road, bankruptcy, when all the parties involved cannot agree to leaner terms.
The king is dead. Yeah. You know, the peasants are going to storm the castle. I mean, the castles are a little different now, but yeah, that does happen. Well, the peasants learn to make for themselves, you know.
The hope for GM is that it spends a short amount of time in bankruptcy protection, getting rid of most of its debt, with a new company emerging that's smaller and produces fuel-efficient cars that Americans want to buy. Mark Carlson, The Associated Press, Detroit.
And the question is, what pours out? What's poured out today has been chaos. What poured out today has been crime and drugs, a collapse of a sense of community. But also what emerges, and what's emerging today, is a renewed sense of community. It's now become a city of polarities, where you have people artificially trying to make community. People trying to create a community where there isn't one, at the same time that people are abandoning real communities like neighborhoods. It's not clear what happens at the end, which force wins. Do the forces of deconstruction win? And do people go back to some post-industrial alienation where they live in little secure boxes by themselves? Or does the social imperative win? Do people come together out of all of this and form a new kind of community? It's an open question. It's a very open question.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There used to be an abandoned house here that turned into a crack house. It was creating a lot of negative energy. So Blightbusters, with our volunteers, we removed that negative energy and put something back just a little bit more positive, something that we can all appreciate. This particular house the electrical line is still intact, which means I don't want anyone anywhere near the electrical lines. If you're swinging an axe, a sledgehammer, pushing or pulling a rake, please be mindful of who's around you. No one is allowed to get injured, hurt, or killed while you're here. After you leave, you can do whatever you want, but while you're here, you must remain safe. Clean it up, people. Come on, people, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yep, come on, get it. Just beat it up, let's go. Hit it all out, bust it off, be mad. Come on, come on, come on, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Come on, be mad at it. Harder. Get it again, hit it again, hit it again, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Hit it again, hit it again, be mad, be mean, be bad. Come on, man, get it. Push it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, my man. All right, right here, folks. Take this right here. Start filling these up. Hey, 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 hey. Orders come from me. Get all the interior walls out, people. Grab a sledge, grab an axe, grab a broom, do whatever you gotta do. We gotta start destroying this roof. Come on, people, let's do this. Also, people, we're building a barbecue pit. I want all these good bricks, okay? Do not throw those out. We're gonna recycle all the brick. Some people would say that the Lord has forgotten Detroit. I don't particularly believe that. I can spend all day chasing ghosts. I don't want to do that. I started this organization to stabilize and revitalize neighborhoods, and that's what we're going to do until I'm dead or someone else takes over. I am not going to listen to nonsense. It's nonsense. Just look around. Obviously, there's something seriously wrong here. Look at this, unbelievable. This was all industry, factories, jobs. Unbelievable. Look at that, goes for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. If you don't fight blight every day, this is what happens. It's like a cancer, and it spreads and it kills everything. Look at this. You can start a farm here, which isn't a bad idea. Many, many years ago, that's what all of this was. As a matter of fact, when Detroit was founded, this was all farmland down here. You know, you're supposed to wear masks, and a lot of times I do, and a lot of times I don't. And after 21 years, I've eaten my fair share of dust. I don't smoke, so it's got to be from all the demolition work. You know, you got to die of something. Might as well be dust. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes.
guys got to eat all these vegetables, okay? That we're picking.
Oh, man, you don't have to worry about that.
You eat spaghetti squash, Sean?
Yeah.
All right. Pick off all the dead stuff.
Look, he's a professional raker. Okay.
A lot of the problem is we can feed people and fill their bellies, but, you know, feeding them donuts and bread every day just doesn't combat malnutrition, so we try to work on malnutrition also.
Now, are those supposed to be that small?
They can be. They can be.
Zucchini?
Cucumbers. What did I just do with
You
that
can
little
eat these
shovel?
just like this. Knock yourself out, bud.
And this is all lettuce.
Hey, look.
Just planted
You gotta think. You'll never be in the garden and die.
salad. Here, you want to grab these tools and I'll help him get some of this for the chickens. We get dirty, but we don't care. Every day I go home dirty, dirty, dirty. I love it. I love it. The dirtier the better. Don't be afraid to get dirty. God made the dirt. He said I can wear it. Whoa. Also, another thing that we're trying to do this year is we planted a lot of herbs. People around here don't have money for medicine. So herbs have a lot of medicinal purposes. Anything from chapped lips to dry skin to fevers, sore throats. And this way, if people get sick, we can make them a tea of a number of different kind of herbs and cure their ailments. Okay, we're gonna enter into where we store all our tools, and we grow herbs and flowers in here. And our chicken coop. Be careful right here. We grow flowers too because they are beautiful, but when you're down here, you see what a difference it really is. You can live with practically nothing. It's kind of like the old days, you know, where people used to barter and it wasn't all about money and what you have. It's not a materialistic life here. But I always say that I could just go back to the day when we didn't have all this stuff. I'd be very happy. I'm not sure if they're going to eat the red. I've never tried to feed them that. Hi, babies. They all had names when they were little baby chickens, but now they've grown up, so I don't know who's who anymore. And I think a lot of people now wish that they'd have known it was coming. I think they do. I think a lot of people now, especially with the economy being so bad and everything, I think a lot of people would go back to a simpler life if they had a choice. I really do.
I come from country, from the farm. For me, whenever I see land, Use it.
Yep. And now, I mean, it's like, surprisingly, right? I mean, I run into so many adults. They'll come up to the big garden and they'll say, well, what's that? And there's a pepper on it, you know? And they can't make the association between what they eat, right? and it growing. And it's almost like unbelievable. That's a pepper? You're kidding. That ain't a pepper. I'm saying, that's a pepper. You know, it's like, wow. And they sit there in amazement, you know what I'm saying? Wow, where you been? But I realize they haven't been on a farm. They don't know. They're just consumers, you know? They're consumers. Eating is almost like TV, man. You know, it's just something you do. You know? And certainly, most people don't. I mean, I know people with fruit trees and things like that in their yards. And they don't eat them because they don't think you can. Oh, you can't eat those apples, or you can't eat those pears. So, that's interesting, you know. So I'm going to clean this out and put some more stuff in here. But, you know, they fed themselves once. They stopped, started making cars. Now they can't eat them. So maybe they'll get back to farming. Which I don't think so, but I mean, you know, I don't think they will. But they can, you know. You know, wars, conflicts, nuclear proliferation, waste, toxins. Ever since I was a little boy, somebody has come up with the idea that the world was ending. You know, and it's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like death, right? You start to die the minute you're born. Then it's just a waiting game, right? I mean, so world ending and all of that, you know, a lot of people have lived past it, you know, and it hasn't happened yet. All I know is that the world's going to end for everybody one day. And so when I ain't in the game no more, then the world ended, you know. That was my hoe. Yeah.
tomorrow running for mayor of the city of Detroit against Dave Bing. I am delighted to be here. This is what we need more of in Detroit. Much more of in Detroit. I think the whole city in this country needs to know how Detroit comes together every Sunday in the field. So I'm happy to see Sirius out here. I'm happy to see folks out here enjoying themselves. So remember, it's your city. Let's take it back now. Thank you all very much. Have a great afternoon.
The blues will make you happy. The blues will make you sad. The blues will make you cry. The blues will make you glad. I'm gonna sing the blues long as I got my baby by my side. Sometimes it's not easy, yeah. The blues will make you happy. Blues will make you sad. The blues will make you cry.
Can you have a whole city in which a whole city built on a subsistence model? And I'd argue that you can't. You can have neighborhoods that are on subsistence models. You can have individual lives on subsistence models. But it's hard to have a scaled community where everyone's living on a subsistence model. You can't have everyone running around pulling copper wire out of buildings and selling it for scrap. That's not a city. Those urban pioneers are right in turning their back on the corruption of the past. They're absolutely right. The problem is, pioneers find new territory, they don't occupy it. They're not the builders of towns. Pioneers are the people always driven to find the edge, always pushing past the limits of the known into that next place where there's the unknown, the frontier, the place where something may, over time, be better. And so as you think about the future of a city, you realize that for better or worse, cities are built by settlers, not by pioneers. Pioneers leave cities and go off and find a frontier. And Detroit's pioneers have left the old city and explore a new city of their own dimension, but not to colonize it, just to enjoy it. So the search for the city becomes more important than actually finding the city.
goes.
Well, when you look at Detroit Industrial Revolution, we could say 1900, peak probably around 1950. The decline started in the late 50s, coming on out up to now. And really, you're looking at the pyramids, the old factories, they're gone. But it's life. Now, I see some hope because I see a lot of young kids who especially come into my club. It's almost like, again, I'm watching television. I really enjoy seeing them. But it was interesting to find out that most of these kids come from some of Michigan's top zip codes. Very well-off kids, very educated. By my way of thinking, I don't even know why they're here. But these are kids. And talking to them, it made me, one day they did an interview on me and they said, well, what type of kids, what type of people are these people? I said, well, these young kids that's coming in Detroit now, young white kids, is the same people who came here 300 years ago with my man Cadillac. I said, they left France, or at that time Montreal, and they came to a wilderness. Strange people, strange everything. And they built a fort. They could have easily went back to Europe or Montreal to more civilized living. But they knew it was something here, there was hope here, and there was, in their way of thinking, a lot of waste here that they could produce here. And if you really look at America, it was, especially Detroit, we were built on imagination. Think about it. This man named Henry Ford said, I'm going to make this horseless carriage. He did. Then people said, well, it costs so much. He said, no, I'm going to figure out a way to do a dirt cheap assembly line. He did. So what's going to rebuild it is the very creative class of kids that's moving here now. They have imaginations, and they are writing their own book for the future. They're using very little of the old school book, the old school rules. They're not afraid to be themselves, and they're going to, like you guys, they are going to do something that's going to change this place. And that's my faith. Hospitality. My name is George Higgins. And that's going to do it for me tonight. The food was excellent. I will be here next week. My name is George Higgins.